Welcome back. In case you missed the second part, here's a quick summary of what happened. The writer's wife came home and, after some tension, admitted to lying about skipping yoga and drinking alone. As the conversation progressed, she revealed more lies, including an affair with a married man. Despite her initial attempts to cover up the truth, she eventually confessed to having been involved with this man for nearly a month. She expressed remorse and begged for a chance to make things right. The protagonist, righted by the betrayal, asked her to fix the situation and be honest with everyone involved, especially the other woman's husband. Now, we move to the final part of the story. She looks at me and asks if I want her to call the wife. I say that if she thinks that is what she would want. So she tried calling, but never got an answer. A few minutes later, her cell phone rang. It was listed as Karen's work. She looked shocked, so I knew that wasn't Karen. I asked if that was him. She said it was. I answered, and being the coward he is, he said, "Oops, I must have the wrong number." I said, "No, this is the husband of the girl you've been cheating with. I'm going to let you speak to her because she has something to tell you." I passed her the phone. She says that she told me everything that I know, the entire truth, that they're done, and it was just a fling. Now he needs to never contact her again. I asked to see the phone before she hung up and asked him what divorce lawyer he was using, to which he replied that he's not getting divorced. So I asked him why he told my wife he was, and he said he didn't. Then I asked to speak to his wife because I felt she had as much right to know about this as I do. He replies, "Please, man, I didn't know she was married. Don't ruin my marriage over a mistake." I respond back, "You ruined mine over a mistake. It's only fair that I tell your wife." He pleads back for me to please not tell her that she was at work and that he would tell her everything when she got home. I said, "Okay, you do that," and hung up. Then I turned to my wife and asked her if she knew where his wife worked and her name. She did. I had my wife call over and ask for her at work. She did get her on the phone and told her to take a seat. This woman said that she was just getting ready to leave for the day and would call my wife back from her car. She did. The first thing she asks is, "What's going on?" My wife tells her that she has something terrible to tell her and that she didn't want to cause any accidents and begged her to please not drive. Obviously, the wife gets scared and asks if something happened to her partner. My wife lets her know that he's fine and in their apartment at the moment. Then my wife continues saying, "I'm just letting you know that we've been having an affair for a month now. I'm coming clean to my husband right now and thought you should be given the same respect." The affair partner's wife went silent for about a minute, then said that if this was some sick joke, she'd find out who she was. Then she hung up. Not even 10 minutes later, my wife got a text from Karen's work saying, "Thanks, you just ruined my life." I grabbed the phone and wrote back, "You just ruined 4 lives and 2 marriages. Don't forget that this was your fault, you piece of crap." For the next hour, my wife begged and pleaded with me to stay with her. She offered counseling. She offered to never leave my side. She even offered me sexual favors. This was everything that I expected, thanks to many Reddit stories and YouTube videos that I read and watched. She then said we should go on that vacation, her treat. "We need time away," was her reason. "We need to spend some quality time together because my work schedule has been pushing us apart lately." Also, exactly what I expected her to say. She wasn't expecting me to tell her that I went anyway. She also wasn't expecting me to tell her that I already have counseling booked for myself. She definitely wasn't expecting me to tell her that I busted her on my very own bed. I could only imagine she didn't expect me to have a place already lined up to stay. When I told her all of that, she fell to the floor bawling. She started saying how she doesn't deserve to live. She told me I should just end her right now because she's too terrible to be with anyone. It went on like that for a while. I stayed for a total of 4 hours listening to her make excuses, then try to hug me or cuddle me or even give me head if I would just stay and work through this with her. In the end, I called Karen and told him Herat, his cheating friend, is suicidal and that he should come keep an eye on her. Then I left. It's been almost a full day since that went down and I haven't spoken to her since. She has been calling and texting me all day. Her friends and family have been calling and texting me all day. Everyone has a different excuse, no, or a different plea for empathy. Her father is the only one who wrote me and told me that I need to do what is best for me and that he will always love me like a son no matter what happens. Reading that was what made me have a good cry for the first time since all of this began. I meet with Sharon, my counsellor, tomorrow, and a lawyer on Thursday. I think I know where this is going, but until it happens, I'm just not sure about anything. I'm sorry for the overly winded story. It just helps to vent in this way. The next couple week was very eventful. I've been going back and forth between camp and my brother's place. I'm trying to be as little a burden on them as possible, so I only stay on nights when I have an early appointment. My company has allowed me to take a few weeks for personal time, which has been an amazing help. I have continued visiting Sharon, the therapist. I've seen her a total of 3 times now. I personally am in a better state of mind than I was last week. So while I don't really think our visits are that productive, I think it's a good chance to clear some thoughts I have in my head. For that reason, I will keep going for now. I spoke with a lawyer last Thursday. With their direction, I made a list of all assets and finances, including debt. I then went to the bank and asked them to put a stop on our accounts that doesn't allow anyone to withdraw money without the other person present. We both have our pay deposited into our personal accounts, so this won't stop either of us from accessing new money, just the old and shared money. The lawyer did suggest that I don't confront her until I serve her the papers, but it's already too late for that. For the duration of the week, I was receiving calls and texts pretty much constantly from my wife, her family, and her friends. This past weekend, my sister-in-law organised a family get-together at the cabin. I went and had to drop the bombshell on my family. At least it's out in the open now, and I can include them in my recovery process. Things were going as great as can be expected until Saturday night at around 8 p.m. I was sitting around the fire with my brother and dad when my wife's car pulled up. My brother told me that he would take care of it. My dad and I decided to go for a walk around the property, out of sight from the driveway. We were barely in the forest when I could hear my wife screaming at my brother to get out of her way. She had a couple of her friends with her, and they were yelling at Matt as well, telling him to mind his own business. He made a valiant attempt, but ultimately they were too much for him to handle. She got past him and rushed right towards us. She must have seen us head that way. My dad offered to deal with her, but I said I will deal with her. My wife, let's call her Kate now, came running over to me bawling. She immediately went for the hug and I didn't stop her, but I didn't hug her back. She begged me to just speak to her. I agreed and we walked around the property trails to have a little privacy. Kate tells me that the other guy's wife has left him. She told me that he called, threatening to end his life, and blamed it all on her. She claims that she told him to just do it and hasn't spoken to him since. She then pulls out a piece of paper and starts listing off ways that she promises to make it up to me again. These are all things she offered on the first day. Everything from couples counselling to sexual requests. Then she caught me off guard. She says that she doesn't want to continue living this way. She said that she wants us both to quit our jobs and go live overseas, start that little beach bar we've always talked about. She said she would leave right now if I would go with her. To put this into context, this past week, while trying to envision my life post-divorce, this is the only thing I could think of. I figured a complete restart of everything. I'm already going through the effort of a massive change. May as well add another piece to it and just do exactly what I want. Her wanting the exact same thing just made me snap back into that feeling of missing her and wanting to be with her. That was the moment I knew I had to end the conversation. I walked her back to her car, where her friends were waiting. I told her that I would be willing to speak on the phone, but couldn't promise anything beyond that. It calmed her enough to leave. We've spoken on the phone each night since, but it's always the same. She cries and begs me for another chance. I get angry at her for what she did and hang up. I'm currently struggling with missing her really bad. She was my best friend for decades, so losing that person to speak to is hard. Realizing that all of the dreams and plans we shared are just thrown away is devastating. I want nothing more than to just pack it up and start life over somewhere else. I want that to be with her, but she ruined it. She robbed me of that, And that's the end of this complex story. What do you guys think of this guy's actions? Do you have any advices for him? Let me know in the comment section.